Hi, my name is Adrian. Welcome to Emotional Bandwidth. Just a few things before I start today's topic. I just wanted to put it out there that I will be speaking about my parents a bit, albeit briefly. I don't want anybody to get the idea that I don't appreciate my parents or what they've done for me. I'm simply using this to illustrate that they are people first, we're all people first, and that even though we're in charge of other human beings smaller than us, it can have effects on us. So with that being said, I hope that you understand that what I'm saying is with the utmost respect and love for the people who raised me. With that, let's get into it. It's never personal, and it is. This lesson is one of the hardest concepts in life to grasp, and it is the most important lesson to grasp. Things happen. They happen to us and around us. But what we spend our whole lives doing is processing and internalizing these things. What is most important is learning how to filter this information and accept these things personally. Doing this not only allows us to own the situation, but once we accept ownership of these feelings, we can control how we allow these feelings to affect us. We often carry hate and anger for things that have happened to us throughout our existence. These feelings grow and fester in us, killing us slowly from the inside. It permeates everything we do. Stress, anger, and anxiety are our worst disease by far. Any pathology will lead back to this as a catalyst to any number of things that plague our lives. I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. Is it easy? No, this is not easy. Nor is it a quick fix to problems that we all face every day. But there are ways to cope with ourselves and help ourselves with life. If you notice, my focus has solely been on self. The reason being is we blame a lot of what happens to us on our environment and outside circumstances. And it's totally understandable. I cannot control many things that happen around me. The train's late. People could be rude. Family members can be selfish. These are just some of the things that I cannot control, but I can let these things affect me in poisonous and devastating ways. I can't help people be nicer, except I can. A lesson that made me realize that I am not my parents and I am my own person is when I realized that they are flawed people trying to do the best they can to raise their kids and navigate life. Both my mother and father have distinct and defining characteristics that define their characters in my life and have led me to ponder my existence outside of them. My father, for instance, is a leader. He takes charge of situations and is someone that can be relied upon to take care of problems as they arise. He takes pride in doing a good job, and while he works at the beat of his own drum, make no mistake, he does an excellent job at anything he sets his mind to. The downside to his influence is that because he is often in charge, he has little to no patience for things that he does not control. It's also very hard for him to see things outside of his understanding of it, because personally he makes the best decisions for him, for better or for worse. My mother has set a standard for women in my life. As a matriarch, she has always been a pillar of duty. She's caring, nurturing, and patient. She's loyal and definitely has mastered the understanding that life happens, and sometimes you have to put your head down and deal with it. I learned that her loyalty comes with a price, however, as she often puts my father first. It's understandable, but at the same time, there have been scenarios where she has chosen my father's petulance over her kids' needs and wants. Personally, these are just a few of my parents' traits, and both positive and negative have affected and made me into the person I am today. For the better. It's through my father that I have learned leadership and pride in my work, but it is through my mother that I have learned emotional presence and acceptance for the foibles of life. I would not have learned these lessons if I didn't look outside of them and outside of myself. We are all puzzle pieces, and we spend our whole lives putting ourselves together. Our parents start by providing the pieces and putting the edges together. It's when we fail to work on the parts in the middle that seemingly are not connected directly to anything that we find confusion. Yet this is where we often stop and wonder why we have not had any growth personally. It is the center that we have to create for ourselves. Once we do, we essentially grow out to the edges our parents created. Think about that. It is that center that we have been talking about, and it is critical to that emotional bandwidth that we are trying to stake and claim. Thank you. Now here's another portion to this. I'm giving you a little extra, guys, this time around. It's a companion piece to this last essay I did called Enhancing Relationships, and it continues on what I just finished talking about. So here we go. It's called Enhancing Relationships. I mentioned my parents before and how their behaviors have molded and shaped a lot of my worldview. From what they are and what they are not, I got a pretty good picture early on what I stood for and what I wanted for myself, as well as what I did not. People often say family comes first, but remember, all families are human and we are prone to mistakes and misguided behaviors sometimes. That's not to say that parents, mine included, aren't doing the best with what they got. They are. But that's where you as the individual have to decide whether their philosophies and views on life are going to enhance or hinder yours. I believe I was only able to see this after my own ego and self had been shattered many times over. Not necessarily because of anything they did, but it was having the pedestal that we all put people we admire and love in our lives on broken and toppled that I realized that all the pageantry I afforded them was wasted. While it stood as a beacon to navigate life, it didn't necessarily lead me to a place of happiness or passion, and in a way, seeing some of their flaws come to bear really made me question myself and study myself. Am I my parents? Are they the reason I think this way? I can tell you better than parents, relativity is life's best teacher. You only know how good or bad something is relative to the experiences you have had. Well, I based a lot of the way I treat people on the scale that I have weighed my parents on, and it has molded me into who I am today. I don't say for better or for worse, because having that experience has enhanced me for the better. That understanding, in fact, made me admire them more, because at the end of the day, they were and are doing the best they can with the information and situations afforded to them. It's with that mindset that I implore you to find yourself sooner than later. You can always go to them or look to them for guidance, and even in situations where a parent or parents aren't present, that presence or lack thereof can inform your sensibilities. For those people, you're going to have to face yourself, and beating yourself up for their failings will hold you back from your own personal success. Trust yourself, but don't lie to yourself about where you are and where you want to go. If you aren't successful right now, remember, it's just right now, and success is another measure in which you have to define for yourself. It is not a monetary value because whether you're rich or not, if you are largely unhappy with yourself, it will possibly just enhance your negativity and resentment. After all, you're supposed to be happy since you have it better than others. Totally not always the case, and even if it were, if you don't feel like you're successful, all the money and financial security is not going to matter. Invest in yourself and you'll never go broke. That emotional and personal bank is security that will stay with you until you aren't here anymore. I say all of that to ultimately say that those relationships we will have over our lifetime, friends, lovers, and families, will be enhanced by ourselves. Remember, their lives can be better or worse relative to what it was when we were not actively in it. For the better, we have to spend the time understanding ourselves. It will help with listening to what they need and give us confidence in sharing our vision for the relationship and where it is going. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra long episode this week. I'll be back with more next week, Wednesday. As always, this was Emotional Bandwidth. Comment, like, subscribe. I'm Adrian. Take care.